This is Chris Corso filling in for Mark Rosen on Under Center with Kirk Cousins. We have a special guest here. He was tough to track down, but we finally got him in here, Kirk. Stefon Diggs is in the radio studio. What's up? What's going on?
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
It's fun here.
Diggsy, it's great to have you, man. First of all, congrats and thank you for the great season you've had thus far.
Thanks, bro.
But we've got a ways to go still.
For sure.
We got to get this thing done, and we got to make a run beyond just Week 17.
100%.
So, and we're going to lean on you to do that. So, talk a little bit about this season. Looking back now, what are your reflections on this past season?
I would say it's been fun. It kind of stable. It kind of got real stable after the first 6. I feel like we kind of learned who we are the first couple games and figuring out what we did well. And I feel like when it kind of like, it never really plateaued. We figured out what we like to do, what we're good at, and then we kind of got better as time went on. So I feel like based off of, we played Green Bay game 2 last year.
Yep.
And playing them right now is two totally different teams. You know, we got our identity. We know what we like to do. And I feel like this year it hasn't really been a roller coaster. You know, I feel like last year we had somewhat of a roller coaster of good and bad. And this year we've had like that same mantra of the same mindset of what we want to do and what we want to get done. So
it's so much more fun when we can string some wins together like we have this year. Last year, 2018, it was, win, loss. It was hard to get in a rhythm. I feel like we found that rhythm a little bit more this year. And, boy, I'll tell you what, when Adam went down with his injury against Detroit and we had about I don't know what it was, 6-7 game stretch without him, you really stepped up, man. Talk a little bit about just that dynamic. I'm guessing every game you've played here as a Viking, Adam's been out there with you, and then he wasn't. Talk a little bit about just needing to show up and make a difference for our offense in Adam's absence and kind of carrying the load for 2 guys.
It's crazy because definitely when you say my first game, I was playing with Adam. He was up and I was up. It was crazy because Adam was more so known for a special teams guy, and that game, I think a guy broke his hand. The game prior broke his hand, and the guy hurt his rib. So 2 guys are down. So 2 guys got to play.
Yeah.
And me and Adam are out there. It's our first time out there. We played okay. We had, I think he had like 8 catches for 80. And in that time, that's a lot of yards because nobody had any production the first couple of games that year. So it was a lot. It was a sight to see. We had a lot of fun. And as that year went on, we had some success. And then Adam started growing into his own and kind of like build a name for himself.
Yep. And
it was exciting to watch. So throughout my career, I've had him. I've always had him right there. And this year when he went down, it was definitely a shocker because it caught us by surprise.
Yeah.
And Adam's never been hurt. Adam's never hurt. Adam's pretty one of the more healthier people.
This is the first games he's missed this year.
Yeah. So everybody was shocked, one, but for 2, you kind of preach that mindset of next man up, but it ain't as easy when it's your partner in crime. And I just try to take it in stride. It's more of a learning curve, kind of being out there by yourself and kind of figuring it out. And you're getting a little bit more coverage on the outside as far as like depending on how they want to stop you, as far as like clouding the boundary or playing cover 2 is really like one of the things I hate the most. But
what do you hate about it?
It's just the fact that you don't got too many routes backside. Like once you cloud the backside, you usually gotta work the other side because I'm pretty much dead. But for me, kind of working around that and finding new ways to get the ball and moving around and kind of working with you, I kind of learned a lot more about myself as well. So
what's it like for you when he's the receiver that the defense is focusing on? You don't have Adam out there. What's it like for you to still get him the ball? You still want to get him the ball.
Oh, there's no doubt. And that the narrative became, all right, we got to get Irv Smith involved. We got to get 3 tight ends in the field. We got to get B.C. Johnson involved. We're going to run the ball. We're going to use Dalvin in the passing game. Try to find other ways to move the ball without Adam. But the one constant was Stefon Diggs. He's still going to be on the field when we have 3 tight ends and a running back in the game. You can put any grouping of 5 people, but the one consistent thing was number 14 is going to be one of those 5 guys. And so we leaned on him quite a bit for explosives, and defenses knew that, and they could take him away, like he said, with a cloud look, a too deep look. And we had to be creative with the routes we give him so that they are a good answer versus a doubled look.
Yep.
And then also use him as a decoy a little bit and say, hey, if he can draw some players, then hopefully that's going to open somebody else up. So we used him quite a bit in that way.
What about the deep ball this year? I was talking to Kevin the other day, Stefanski, and he was telling me that you are the best one receiver he's seen tracking that deep ball. There's been a ton of passes from you, Kirk, that have just been right on the money. You guys have connected on a lot of those this year.
I feel like more so. I'm not gonna really I'm not gonna take
Give
any
him
credit.
credit.
I'm not taking any credit because he throws a hell of a ball, especially a deep ball. And since he's been here, he's always thrown a great deep ball. And it's friendly. It's easy to catch. It's not it's not like pop fly-ish. It's just on time and it's where it needs to be. So I feel like he has the confidence when he throws the ball up in the air, and I just got to make a play for him. It's been fun.
1st and 10 Vikings from their own 38. Cousins from under center. Straight drop. It's another deep shot. Diggs, center of the field. Caught it on the run. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown!
Well, I was just going to say that he adjusts to the ball really well. And so obviously he has great speed. You got to have good movement skills to be a special receiver in our league. But he adjusts to the ball. And I played with a guy named Deshaun Jackson who did that really well as well. But
Was
those are probably
he faster than Diggs?
Deshaun gets a lot of credit for his speed, and rightfully so. But honestly, what made Deshaun elite was his ability to adjust to the football. Because it's hard 40, 50 yards down the field to throw the ball perfectly. You're going to be a yard or two off. There's just going to naturally be a little room for error.
Yeah.
The receiver has to make you right. With his ability, as the ball's on its way there, as it's 30 yards there, with 20 yards to go, he's got to be able to find it, adjust, and then make it look like it was thrown perfectly. And that's what Deshaun did well, but that's what Stefon does well. And people, it's hard to evaluate that. You have to feel it in practice and realize, man, I'm throwing it in like a general area, and yet it always looks like it's right on the money.
Yeah.
Even just a couple weeks ago against the Chargers, I threw a double move to Stefon. It actually ended up being incomplete because they said he didn't get his second foot down in bounds, but it was a back shoulder, if you will. But I didn't tell him pre-snap it's going to be a back shoulder. I just throw it a little short, and he gets his eyes around. Talk about that play and just adjusting to the ball.
It bothered me so much, and I never make excuses.
That's the toe drag.
I never make excuses. And I feel like I was just a little off on my trajectory on where I was on the field because I felt like I had way more space than I did because I was kind of lackadaisical with keeping my feet in because I thought I had more room.
Yep.
But it was like just pitch and catch playing quarterback, playing quarterback.
It was a great
receiver.
adjustment.
And I feel like he just gave me a chance to make a play on the ball, and that's a big thing. He always gives me a chance to make a play on the ball. That's all I want is a chance.
There's a lot of receivers that just wouldn't adjust to that ball, and it would fall incomplete, and it would look as if the quarterback completely missed the throw.
Yep.
But he comes back and finds the ball in such a way where we got a shot. And so it's fun to throw the ball in his general area and know, well, here goes nothing. He's going to figure it out.
Play action to Abdullah on 2nd and 14. Cousins boots out to the right. Deep shot. Diggs wide open. Caught at the 10. Stefon Diggs.
Like he said, he wants a chance, and he deserves a chance, and we got to give him as many opportunities as we can.
I like his mindset though. Always when we get
He's a
one-on-one,
gunslinger.
when we get
He
one-on-one
throws it.
backside,
Yeah.
we one-on-one backside. We usually on the same
The
page.
Philly
What's
game.
going on? What's going
Yeah,
on?
the
If I got
Philly-
a chance,
yeah.
he gonna give me a chance.
1st and 10 from their own 49. Cousins boots out to the left. He wants more. Deep. Diggs inside the 5. Touchdown! Stefon Diggs!
Another play that he made really well on was on Darius Slay. I think he's a Pro Bowl corner this year, but on a run back on a bootleg. Just a really tight coverage. He just does an unbelievable job with body control, of keeping his feet in balance, making a tough catch. I think Stefon is very underrated in that sense. And even talk about the Omaha you caught one-handed against the Chargers.
I feel like I rolled out of it. I didn't give it a hard stick at the top, whereas I probably would have had more speed to catch up to the ball. But I really tried to put two hands on it, but I was a little bit out of reach. But I tried to get my hand or try to make a play just to keep the chains moving.
That was an all-timer for me to make.
Yeah.
He made that one-handed catch.
The thing about Diggs is before you showed up, I mean, he's had 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks here, and doesn't matter who's throwing on the ball, he still puts up the stats.
Yeah, that's a mark of a great receiver, right?
Yeah, and I remember a long time ago, 2015, I think we were out at TCF, and we were playing the Bears, and you said on the sideline, you're like, I'm going to have a big day today. And you caught 2-3 touchdowns in that game.
It was a fun day. It was cold out there, but it was a fun day.
Talk about battling for your playing, because beginning of your career, 3-4 games, you didn't see the field yet.
Yeah.
What was it like coming up when you're just battling for that playing time? At Norv Turner, you got to get in his good graces.
Break through. I feel like those first couple of games, you learn a lot about yourself. You had your piece of humble pie no matter how hard you work.
Yeah.
When you got older coaches, they make you really earn your keep, and kind of like when your time comes, it's going to come. So it was a lot of work, and I did get frustrated at one point just because I felt like I just wanted some type of opportunity.
Yeah.
But it came when it was supposed to, and when it came, I feel like I told
That
myself,
Denver game.
Yeah, I told myself I'm gonna take full advantage, and when I go in between the lines, I'm not trying to come out.
Never look back.
He battled for every snap at the beginning there. He was a 5th-round draft pick.
Yeah.
He came here in training camp over at Winter Park, and every single practice, him and Adam were making plays. They were down on the depth chart.
I have great respect for that. I was a fourth-round pick myself, so I know sometimes the uphill battle it can be to make it. Talk a little bit about a guy who's probably not going to be drafted as late as we were. That's your brother.
Oh, man.
Down at Alabama.
Man. Yeah.
Is he still projected to be a high pick, and just what's the latest on him and his future?
Yeah, he's extremely excited. For one, I had a conversation with him like yesterday. He's still projected to go pretty high on the draft board, but he's a big corner. He's bigger than me, 6'2",
wow,
205, 208, can run, and he played in the SEC. And in this league, a lot of guys from the SEC they call it big boy football over there. And I don't shame any other conference. I'm a Big Ten guy now.
Yeah.
ACC. But I feel like he's going to have a better career than I had, at least coming out initially. He's not like me, I would say. I think he's a little bit more timid, a little more shy, and he just wants to play ball. So I'm really excited for him. Hopefully I get to line up against him real soon.
You normally say he's better than you. I've heard that a few times.
I say he is.
Why do you say that?
Because he played corner. He played receiver throughout college, and then they switched him to corner. Wow. And to make that switch and still have a high draft grade or to do well or have play with some successes, it's an athlete.
At Maryland or coming out and recruiting, did anybody ever try to make you a corner with your athleticism?
Crazy. Clemson and Alabama, the two schools that said, we got a bunch of receivers, but we would love you at corner, and it came to find out they did have hella receivers. Clemson had Sammy Watkins, Martavis Bryant, DeAndre Hopkins,
loaded,
and then Alabama had Amari Cooper at the time. I think it was a couple other guys that they had that were pretty good. So it kind of shook out the way it was supposed to.
You probably would have gone on to the NFL as a corner if you had done that, but I think it's worked out for you. And I love a guy who stays home, plays for a school that isn't going to land a guy like him all the time, and is a huge impact player. I wish more big-time recruits did that. I wish they would stay home, play for the school nearby, represent their home state, their home team, and leave an impact. And I think it's pretty cool that Diggsy decided to do that, being from D.C. and staying in College Park, Maryland, and being one of the better players they will have ever had there.
Tell the story, what went into that, like why you stayed close to home at Maryland, because it's a good story.
Yeah, at that point in time, going into high school, I had lost my dad.
Yep.
So it was really just me and my brothers.
Yep.
And I had it's crazy because we all played football. Everybody had the whole little high school thing. And then when it's time to make a decision for college, I decided to stay home just to be close to them. And it was a lot that went into it. When you think about your family and kind of wanting being close by and having that support system.
Yep.
So for me, I wanted to be close to my little brothers. I have a lot of love and appreciation for them for having my back and motivated me. So up to this point. But for when it was their time, I wanted them to go away for school, take your opportunity and run with it. So my little brother, he committed to Alabama, and I was extremely excited.
Wow.
You did a good job with them.
Yeah, I didn't. I wouldn't take all of them. I'm giving it all to my mom, but it's been it was definitely a fun road, definitely.
Wow.
Being drafted in the 5th round.
Yeah.
Can you name all the wide receivers that were drafted before you?
I think it was 14 receivers taken in front of me.
Really, that many?
Yeah.
Could you name a few of them or no?
Yeah, I can name Nelson Aguilar was taken in front of me. Phillip Dorsett was taken in front of me. Jalen Strong was taken in front of me. Rashad Green was taken in front of me. A couple guys got drafted in the 1st round. I remember that. Coop was taken in front of me. Kevin White was taken in front of me.
Wow.
It's a lot of guys that were taken in front of me. And but going in, I try not to think about it that way because those guys worked for their opportunity. They had success in college, whether you went to whatever school. They played extremely well, and they deserved the opportunity at that point.
That's a good perspective.
And it was crazy because when I was coming out at the Combine, I had a video of me saying, I feel like I'm one of the best receivers in this draft class. But that was just me. And when I said it at the Combine, one of the reporters kind of laughed and said, what made you say that? I said, because of what I can do.
Because I am.
I feel like that's what I feel like.
Yeah.
And it kind of came full circle around this time. It's like this. I can stand on what I said. I was 100% right. And it's really just a couple of us now that's having success out of my draft class as far as receivers. So
the ones you named, I think you're better than all those guys. So.
Yeah, that's pretty special. I didn't realize it was 14 guys. That's a lot.
Yeah,
there were 7 quarterbacks who went ahead of me, and we had a pretty loaded class. There were some really good players, but I didn't think about double that. 14 receivers. I guess it makes sense. They draft a lot. But talk a little bit about your hands and your ability. I came over to you at practice a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
You may remember this. I just noticed, again, the way you adjusted to a football. And I said, Diggsy, you got such good hand-eye coordination. Do you think you could have played baseball or golf or tennis? Not that you necessarily grew up playing those sports, but I said, I feel like that was an opportunity missed.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of kids grow up getting to play them all. Do you ever wonder like what you could have done in a different arena of a different sport?
Yeah, I actually I played baseball 1 year. 1 year.
I've seen you swing a bat. It's not.
I'm
not
terrible.
I say it because
I'm a baseball player, and I know he is too.
I'm terrible.
certain football players are football players because they're big, strong, fast, but they don't have the coordination, the smoothness, But he does. He does. And so that's why I brought it up to him was I feel like if you had started at a younger age, you could have been able to do those things because you have that natural feel.
I got a time warp. If I can go back and do it all over again, I think I would get a little bit more into baseball.
A lot more money. You see that Garrett Cole contract, man?
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you, Stefon, for joining us.
Anytime.
A big playoff run coming for your Minnesota Vikings. And
Yep.
this is Under Center with Kirk Cousins.